So again, for those of you who are joining, welcome. And our presenter is in the house. And I would like to hand over to Brian, make his presentation. Thank you very much. Brian, over to you.
So, colleagues, as the Prof has introduced and also talked about the task that I'm going to take you through. So, we want to look at basically reference management systems because it's really important to reference your work, to avoid plagiarism, because you have to give credit. You have to give credit to the person whose idea really that you have written about within your work and so forth. So we'll also look at obviously one software for those that we are going to use, that is Mendeley. And why Mendeley is because it's open source and free of charge, but also talk about the other referencing softwares that you can access, like EndNote, which you can access from Makerere library, where you for it is paid the license from Makerere. So without wasting any more time, so why do we reference? So we reference to give credit to work of other people you have used. So this is basically to avoid plagiarism, because plagiarism is what is referred to as academic theft. So one thing you have to note when you are referencing is that paraphrasing without referencing is still plagiarism. So basically, if the idea here of referencing is you are accepting that the idea you're communicating is basically not yours. So it's not, when you change the sentence, maybe just rewriting the sentence does not mean that you have completely changed the idea. So you still have to basically reference, even if you have paraphrased what you have picked from a journal you're reading. So all ideas in your work cannot be originally yours, okay? Because you're just building onto the knowledge that's available. So when you cannot defend yourself that I completely do not have references because all the ideas within my work are mine. That is the reference, because the ideas you're going to write about should be originating from the researchers who came before you. So, however, over-referencing also shows that you have not synthesized the literature. So when you are referencing, you have to have a critical balance. You cannot, for example, reference every sentence that is within your work. So again, it means that you have everything you have basically picked from the literature that you have read. So that means that within the work you write, you are supposed to synthesize and also what you call synthesizing, extracting out original ideas from what you have read. So over-referencing is also bad, shows that you have not really synthesized the literature. So you have to reference, if I may say, sparingly, meaning that you are not supposed to write everything basically you have picked from the literature you have read. So what is yours, what you have synthesized, you don't reference, but what you have picked from other journals or in academic writing, you have to reference. So the literature should have arguments, okay, from your analysis combined with the quotes from any other researcher that now is referenced. Okay, so you have an argument, you want to back up that argument, which is yours, then you use a quote or a statement from other researchers, which you then. So good references show effort, okay, and quality of research, and they help one's work to be given credit when you are publishing or presenting the work examinations. Your references should come from ideally journals of high impact factor, or your references should be from journals of researchers who are made, say, powerhouses within that area. There are researchers who have done extensive work and they have built credibility within that area for a long period of time. So normally for an examiner or your work that you're publishing, if some of those references are seen within your work, it brings about credibility. Okay. So if dealing with a particular topic, if some particular researchers are not cited in your work, actually examiners or other experts in your area will consider it either of high quality if you have considered, or you have to remember that most likely they'll consider that work not to be of high quality when certain particular authors are actually not referenced within your work. So you have really to identify people who have done extensive work, or people who have who are well respected within your field. That should be very as a researcher, people have done direct work within your research area who are powerhouses. So examiners are looking out to see whether those researchers have been referenced within your work. So you have to always remember that. So always at the back of your mind, remember that most likely you're not the first to do the research in this area. So normally when you're just beginning research, you tend to think that the ideas you are having are yours. But the more you read, you come to find out actually that you're not the first person to have a thought of this. So when you have the feeling that most of the ideas seem to be on yours, then it may be an indicator that you actually have not read extensively. So what are some of the referencing techniques that we have? We have the American Medical, these are just some of them, American Medical Association. We have the American Political Science Association referencing system. We have the American Psychological Association, which is referred to as the APA. I've highlighted it in red. Why have I highlighted in red? When you come to the guiding documents that for the postgraduate research at Makerere University, this is the APA system that they actually encourage students at Makerere University to use. However, it's not ideally a must that you're supposed to use this referencing system. The idea is that when you're using a reference system, you need to be consistent throughout. Okay, you don't mix referencing systems. And how will you mix referencing systems? Most of the cases, when you do the referencing manually, there is a high chance you are going to mix the referencing systems, because sometimes you may say some of these reference systems are almost similar, and then you may end up actually mixing the referencing systems together. The ones which are clearly different, you can actually be able to differentiate them. But with the software, it's very difficult for you to do this, because when you set it, it will automatically be working, helping you to work within one particular referencing system. So we have the American Sociological Association referencing system. We have the Harvard referencing system, which also has been, I think, taught within Makerere setting. So you can still use the Harvard, though in our document, the guiding one is the APA referencing system. IEEE is also liked so much by the engineers. Okay. So again, why? I mean, you need to now to use some of, apart from only the APA. Sometimes when you are publishing, you have to use some of these journals specify the reference system you are supposed to actually use. So again, with the software, it's just a matter of basically just one click, and then you change all your references into a particular referencing system. But when you have done it manually, it's actually a very big task that may take you 1 or 2 or 3 weeks just actually to change these referencing systems, and you may actually not do a good job because of simply human error when you are editing these referencing systems. So what I've been saying is any system should be used, though consistency should be maintained, okay? And avoid at all costs mixing these different references. So avoid references older than 10 years, obviously, except for fundamental references. There are some references, or I may say articles, which are fundamental. Sometimes when you go to search, as we'll do some sample here just in the Google Scholar, some of these fundamental references, you'll find, for example, they have been cited over 1,000. They have above 1,000 sightings, okay? Some of those references are really fundamental, and they may not actually be that recent. Okay, so some of these fundamental references may come, but again, they shouldn't be obviously so many. Those are the ones where they will give an excuse for you to use a reference beyond 10 years. Why do they insist on using references which are basically recent? And I'm using 10 years. This is basically an average kind of year range. But again, don't get surprised when your supervisor insists on using references not older than 5 years, because sometimes you may be working in a research area which is so dynamic that it changes so fast that your supervisor feels that as an expert in that area, references really beyond 5 years, you are dealing with, you're talking about issues that either have been already resolved or do not, what you are reporting really has become obsolete. So, but the working time is normally 10 years. So here, when you are in 2022, you are talking about at least not a reference beyond 2012, but it could vary. So you don't take this basically as the gospel truth. So let's now dig into this APA referencing technique. So just want to see theoretically how it works. In referencing, sometimes when you look at the idea that you want basically to reference, okay, it could be coming from two authors. Okay, so we want to look at the different contexts in which the idea is coming from two or more authors and so forth, and then you want to actually reference these. So I give an example here. There is a statement that we want to reference, and that statement is that we believe that water is a necessary part of every person's diet. Okay, and of all the nutrients a body needs to function, it requires more water each day than any other nutrient. Okay, so how now you are referencing this in the body, because when you are referencing there's how you reference in the body, and also there's how you reference you put a reference list at the end of the document you are writing. So now here see we use the last name of the person. So for example, I'm called Brian Makabayi. So if I wrote an article for 2022, then you'll have to use Makabayi a comma 2022. So obviously sometimes some of the small challenges may get some of the names maybe Russians or Chinese, or how do you identify which one is the first name, which is the last name, obviously by position and so forth. But here you use the last name, so you have Whitney and the Rolfs. So taking note here that we're using the ampersand. Okay, you're using the ampersand sign for and, which may be different in the Harvard referencing system. Then comma 2011. So you put this into brackets and then you put a full stop. So this is when you are basically referencing within the body for two authors, and you are referencing, you put the reference at the end of the statement that you actually want to reference. But you can also decide to actually start with the authors who are referenced, whose idea you want to reference, and you can rewrite the statement verbatimly as Whitney and the Rolfs. Now here you don't use ampersand but use the and sign. So you put in brackets 2011, then you say state, these two authors state. So the body requires many nutrients to function, but highlight that water is of less than any other nutrients. So here, this is now putting the reference in the body still, but starting the authors at the beginning of the reference at the end of the sentence, putting the reference at the beginning of the sentence. You can also have the reference in the middle of the sentence. This is not so commonly done, but it's also possible to have the reference within the middle of the idea that you actually want to reference. So let's see how this goes. So you will say then for the same statement that water is an essential element of anyone's diet, and Whitney and Wolf's 2011 emphasize. So their words here state and emphasize that actually they go so much with where you have put the reference. Okay, so that word emphasize really is supports so much when the reference is in between that you are basically writing. So the emphasize, it is more important than any other nutrients. So you can see here different formats of how for just two authors you can actually reference in the body the sentence, so the idea that you want to communicate at the end, at the beginning, or in the middle. Obviously, the good referencing style is to have a proper balance, or a proper mix of these, are not only to use at the beginning, being monotonous by always using them at the beginning, or being monotonous by always using them at the end. Sometimes to improve the flow, you may actually have to mix them up, as you have seen here. So when you have two authors, how to write this, for example, in the reference list, you can see here. So you write the last name of the author, then the a comma, comma, upper sign. Then for the second author, you write the last name, comma, then the first letter of the first name, then a full stop, open brackets 2011, full stop, then you write the basically title. So this is a book, so the title of the book, and this is the edition, 12th edition, and published in Australia. And you have basically the publisher. Now, you see, knowing this manually, you have to be very careful about knowing this. But the good thing with having a software, it a bit helps you normally how to write this than always having to program. Though you have to have an idea, obviously, but sometimes also the software can help to extract for you these, as we are going to see in a short while. So you have to note that here, what you have looked at, this is a book, and it did not have a city for place of publication, just a country. So as you have seen, so the extra note there for this book has an edition. So some books don't have editions, others have editions. So this information is included straight after the title if you have the edition. But some of the softwares will basically, refreshing softwares will basically do for you this, okay? But if you don't have one, then you have really to have all this in the back of your mind. What about if you have 3, 4, or 5 authors? Okay, so if the work has 3, 4, or 5 authors, you have to cite, okay, in the APS system, you have to cite all the authors the first time, okay? The first time they appear in your text, you have to cite, that's in the body, you have to cite all the authors the first time, and then on, that's now the second time you want to cite the same authors, that's their paper, you have to include only the last name of the first, okay, author, followed by words NL, okay, which is obviously a Latin, which is the Latin word for and others. So some other referencing types, immediately you start by using the first name of the first author and L. But for APA, you have, for the first time you use, if there are 3, 4, or 5 authors, the first time they appear in the text, you have to write actually all the authors, as you're going to see the example just below here. For example, they're saying research can be defined as a systematic method of creating new knowledge, okay, or a way to verify existing knowledge. So you can see here we have 4 authors. So you write these last names, Watson, comma, McKenna, comma, then you have Cowman, and then you write Apperson, KD, comma, then 2008, full stop. Okay, that's the first time. Now you are going the second time you're still, because this is still the idea picked from their paper. So deciding on research method demands, the researcher consider carefully the problem or area of investigation being researched. Now this time, because you are refreshing for the second time, you just write now Watson and L, a full stop, comma, 2008. So this continues now up to the end. And the software, if you are in APA, it will actually do for you this reliably. So obviously, how do we reference when you have 3, 4, or 5 authors? You have Watson, comma, then the first name, the letter of the first name, dot, comma, then you have McKinnon, comma, then the first letter of the first name, dot, comma, then you have Cowman, comma, the first letter of the first name, dot, comma, then you put the upper sign, then you put Kidi, comma, the first letter of the first name, the full stop, then here, so we put these are, if these are the editors, okay, so you put in brackets EDS, okay, full stop in brackets, full stop here, then 2008. So nursing, research, designs and methods is the basically the title. Then Edinburgh, Scotland. So here you have the town, city, Churchill, Livingstone, Xavier, the journal. So yeah, so note here that the people here identified were editors. So that's why you have the ADS there. So this is just a shortened version of saying these are the editors. So sometimes if they're not the editors, then this will not be put. But most of the cases, if they are ones who have edited this journal, then you have ADS appear there. What about if you have 6 or 7 authors, we're having now a trend. At the beginning, normally papers were published as one author, but you're having a trend in the different journals where papers are becoming more credible when you have more authors, because they're encouraging more of the what you call the multidisciplinary research, where they normally discourage papers with one author, 2 authors. They want you have a better chance or better quality papers when you are a team. So it's not surprising that now you're going to find more and more papers with very many authors. Okay, so what happens if 7 authors in the APS system, referencing system? So for example, if work has 6 or more authors, you have to cite only the first name of the first author followed by a tail each time you refer to this work. So apart from the previous slide where we had 3, 4, 5, when now they become 6 or 7, okay, you immediately just write the last name of the first author, and then you start with a tail, just as you can basically see here. So you immediately start and do like how other reference systems do. So for the reference list mistake, so when I can repeat this, so when a source has up to 7 authors, okay, so in the reference list, okay, you have to include all names in the reference list when it has up to 7 authors, because you're going to see what happens when you even have more authors. So for example, here, just like how I explained how we do the referencing, you put all, so you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So all are there, and the others are the same. You have the title of the journal, you have the journal name, you have the volume number, you have the issue number, then here you have the page numbers, the range of the pages where this information is basically found. So that's if you have 6 or 7 authors. So in the reference list, still you list all. Why this is mentioned, there's something that happens when the authors are 8 or more. And as I've said, that we're going to get more and more of these papers when the authors, because we're having more of research teams now publishing work, which was not the case in the earlier times. So when there are 8 or more authors, cite only the last name of the first author followed by a tail, which is similar to the previous slide you have just looked at, as you see here. However, what to note here is that in the reference list, when you have 8, okay, or more authors, actually in the reference list, you're only going to include the first 6 authors. Okay, so you include the names of only the first 6 authors, and then you use what we call the ellipsis points. That is called the ellipsis point. So this is used now in the reference list when you have 8 or more authors. So when you have 8 or more authors in the reference list, you are not going to include basically all their names. Okay, even the software actually will also do that. So that you put this before basically concluding with the last author's name. So you, as you have seen here, so you write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then you put that you have some, okay, in between there. Then you come and capture the last author, okay, and you basically put the year. So we not list all, you list the first 6, then you put these ellipsis points, then you capture the last author, just as shown in this example of the journal whose title is muscle adaptations to polymetric versus resistance training in untrained young men. Okay, so Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research, volume 22, issue 6, and pages 1799 to 1810. What about if you have groups as authors? Because yes, most of the cases, well, most of the references, or most what would we normally encourage, but for particular research someone does, you may find that it may be limited in literature, and you are pushed towards work which is done by groups of authors. What you're going to see, like Ministry of Health, work done by some NGOs, okay, who are not, who are basically as authors, they are not writing there as individual authors, but as a group. They are taking them, they are authoring as a group. Okay, so how also do you reference this? So the names of groups that serve as authors, e.g. corporations, associations, government agencies, are usually written in full each time they appear in text citation. Okay, so the names of e.g. associations and government agencies are spelled out in the first citation and then abbreviated thereafter. So an example here. So for example, the first text citation, this is by Ministry of Health. So you write Ministry of Health, then in brackets, then you have to put square brackets and put its abbreviation, okay, comma 2007. Then subsequently, now you use the abbreviation. The idea here, you are basically telling us when you are citing what Ministry of Health is. This might be, remember when you are writing work or you are publishing, you are not, why this is very important, you're not writing to Ugandan. So don't take it for granted that they don't know what OPM is, okay? For you may think everyone knows what OPM is, but someone in the US may not know what OPM is, okay? So some of these abbreviations that are local, this is really emphasized, okay? But even if they are global and international, still this standard has to be maintained that the first time you use, write in full, square brackets, you abbreviate it, then the following, you always have to write in the abbreviated manner. So the common mistakes, people will start with the abbreviation straight, others want to carry through the whole lengthy name throughout the document, or others forget to, the first time they use, they forget to write it in abbreviation. So again, that is not a proper way of referencing when you have groups that have authored these reports that you are basically referring to. So you have reports from FAO, UNFAO, UNSAID, and the list goes on and on and on, okay? And different government agencies and so forth, even international agencies. So this is how you reference when you have a group of authors. So in the reference list, you write the full name, Ministry of Health, full stop, then you write in two brackets, 2007, then you write the title, basically, of the documents they have produced. Then you write the town, publishing town and the country. So then after the end, you fill quotations. That if the author, what you have to note here, that if the author and publisher are the same, okay, this is very important. If the author and the publisher are the same, then the author can be used to indicate the publisher in the place of the full name. Okay, so that's if the author and the publisher are basically the same. But if the author and the publisher are different, then you basically have to include there the publisher. So you have to note carefully that. Then what about where you have similar information referred to by more than one author? You can also have this situation. Similar information referred to by more than one author. So what do you do here? There may be occasions, for example, where you want to refer to more than one source. Okay, more than one source. What do I mean here? You have two authors. You have two journals. These two journals, basically the idea you want to communicate, both of them have basically talked about, they have discussed, they have researched on this idea. So you want to include these two authors, and it could actually be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so forth. So what am I meaning? Where you have one author, like for example, I mean, people, you have made a statement, maybe that people with underlying conditions are more vulnerable to COVID-19, and you have maybe like 3, 2, 4 journals that are saying that. How do you refer? So that's what we are trying to communicate here. So an example, however, here is that reading verbatimly, resilience is seen as the ability to overcome adversity and combat stress and bounce back from hardship. So now here, these are two. There's an article for Downson for 2006, and then there's another article for Overton 2005. So you basically write the first name of the author, comma, the year, then you use semicolons, okay? So if at all there were 3, you just add another semicolon here and add the third person. Okay, so that is how you separate when you have more than one author. So it applies for 3, 4, 5, 6, and so forth authors. So these are just different articles that are communicating the same idea. So then obviously when you come to the reference list, This Dawson, you can see, has his own reference line, and then also Overton has his own reference basically line. So that's how you you cater for this case when you are in the reference list, when you have basically similar information referred to by more than one author. So what about if you have the same author and the same date, same author and the same date? What I mean here, in terms of the same date, there are some authors who are so proactive, okay, and they're writing about basically maybe in the research area, they produce so many papers in a year. So they have produced, for example, on average, maybe two, rarely, but maybe three papers in a year. And you are basically referring to them. I'll give an example. If, for example, me, myself, I've produced 3 papers in a year. How, and you want to reference me, how do you differentiate in the reference? Because in the body, you are writing my first name, Makabayi, okay, only. It's in the reference list that you see the difference, but you can also differentiate now in the body. So Makabayi, then 20, for example, 13A. So how do you, what is determined by A, B, and C? A is the first paper I've published. If I publish a paper in January, then that will have A. If I publish another paper in June, that will be B. Then I publish another paper in December, that will be C. Okay, so that's what is basically seen here. However, this is a publication by a group. Okay, so that is the Cancer Society of New Zealand. And this is the first paper they published, so that's why it has 2013A. So then according to Cancer Society of New Zealand, I've just changed the format of how you reference. Now I'm saying 2013B. That means this is actually another paper published in the same year. And you can clearly see the reference list that the one of 2013A is on ocular melanoma information sheet, retrieved from that. And then out of 2013B is reducing your cancer risk. So these are basically different papers produced by the same author, here group of author, but can also be individual authors in the same year. So the same date we mean simply the same year. So what about not so common in the science field, but it could be when you have done interviews, your workers interviews, and you have direct quotes. Okay, so quoting directly from work should be done sparingly. That's one warning. It's not encouraged to do so much direct quoting within your research work. However, sparingly done direct quoting and carefully selected direct quoting for particular research is actually good. It gives credibility to your work, mostly if the person you have basically quoted is so fundamental. Is so, like, for example, you're doing something on health and maybe on COVID, and Minister of Health, the Minister of the Minister of Health communicated something that is something very credible on maybe on COVID within a Uganda setting. Maybe you look at the Ugandan context. So, but you don't overdo it. When you overdo it, the quotings again is bad. So maybe you have maybe one direct quote, but carefully selected quote. So in order, therefore, to emphasize or stress a point in your essay, this is where you use that direct quote. So when using a direct quote, what should you note? It must be copied exactly as written in the original work. Now, this is what is interesting, that how do you deal with this? The good thing is that now I talked about the Ministry of Health, but now sometimes you're caught, maybe you are studying HIV positive patients, and these are from a low, you're dealing with the very illiterate people, and their English is not good. So direct quotes, they say when you pick them, you're supposed to pick them directly, including any punctuation or incorrect spelling. So when using a quote, you have to include the author's last name, okay, year of publication, and the page numbers where the quote appears. So here there are 2 ways. You can have a quote that has been picked from a document. If a quote has been picked from a document, a direct quote from a document, then you have to include the page numbers. But now if the quote has not has been picked by you from the field, by doing an interview, then you do not have page numbers. So, however, in the quotes we have just 2 different quotes. We have normally a short quote, and then we have long quotes. Okay? So what's a short quote? A short quote is the one which basically is less than 40 words. Okay. So to indicate a short quote which is less than 40 words, just basically enclose the quotation in double quotation marks, and which is shown here. So this is an example of a short quote. Okay. You use double quotation marks, as you can see here and here, as you can see the whole thing right there. Then at brackets at the end, you write the last name of the author, comma, you write the year this quote was basically made. If you are picked from a document, then you include the page on which this quote is, because sometimes you need work where there's some fields where they use so much of these quotes, so you pick. But I've said that if you do not have if it was picked directly, then you don't have the page number for where that quote was picked from. However, for quotes, these are now long quotes. So words, you have words which are 40 and more. You include this in your essay as a freestanding piece of text or block form. Okay, so don't use quotations. Okay, simply double space. Okay, simply double space. Okay, don't single space. You double space the entire quote. Okay. So at the end of the quote, you just include the author's name, the year of publication, and the pages after the full stop. So the idea, you don't put quotations, you just basically include the text. You include the text, actually should just be, for example, a block, or if I may say, like a paragraph. However, how you know that this is a quote, its line spacing will be different from the other line spacing, because in most of the cases, our documents, our line spacing is most of the cases single. So now for you to do it double spacing, as you can see here, and then you basically include the author, the year, and the page where it was picked from. So how do we reference these quotes? You write the last name of the author, then you have the first letter of the middle name, first letter of the last name, we put the year, then you basically write the this was picked now, the direct quote from the Guide for International Nursing Students in Australia, New Zealand. Basically published where? Sydney, Australia, and this publication came from the document Elsevier. Okay. So what about if you have figures? Again, this is something people forget, that when you're referencing, also if the figure, it's not you who has prepared this figure, image, illustration, photograph, map, chart, but you have picked it from somewhere because you want to use it to communicate the idea you're trying to basically convey. You have actually to reference it. But if it's yours, you do not need actually to reference that image, illustration, photograph, map, or chart. If you don't reference it, that's plagiarism. Okay, actually, if you don't reference it, you are saying that you are the one who prepared it, and that's academic theft. So what we do normally here, so when you use a figure or education for education purposes, e.g. in an essay, reports, presentations, or in a module, you need to reference the source of the figure. So this means you need to cite, okay, and reference. You cite, and actually even the reference list you include it. Include the why you pick, basically why you pick this. So for example, you have to give details, okay, in the reference list where you found the figure, e.g. in the reference list now you have to talk about the web, because sometimes you have picked this from some web link, so you have to put the web, or newspaper you picked it from, or book, or any other publication. Obviously, this makes it easier that even if you are reading, someone can easily go and follow up and trace where you gotten this material. So it helps a reader, really, if your work is well referenced, to trace where you have gotten your ideas, maybe to understand more what you're trying to communicate. Okay, so this is very important when you reference your work well, because sometimes an examiner may question the idea. Most of the cases, the examiners would be experts in our areas, but why it's good to have well referenced work. Actually, an examiner, if at all, he may actually follow up and go to one of the references, maybe if he's a bit questioning the idea you're communicating, if it is right or true. So you do not want the examiner to struggle to basically locate where you have gotten this reference. So sometimes that's why I'm saying that good reference work, sometimes not only that you have arranged it well, but even it can help in the examination process, because good examiners normally will follow up and also try to read a few of your references just to understand your work better and evaluate you well. So how do you basically reference in the body? So just below the image you can see here, and this one normally is put after you have captioned. Then you can caption figure one, then you write the heading, then you in the brackets of that caption, as you can see here. Okay. Some people just do this, actually just put the reference in the body like that, but you can put figure one, then you write the name, then in brackets Evans, comma 2000, comma, then you put the page, okay, where you have picked this figure. So you have to be that precise because it may be a big report, okay, and the author just wants basically to go to that report quickly to see where you have picked actually this figure, okay. And why this is important, sometimes you have a figure and you have not really explained so well about it, because anyway, for you, you're just picking something from it. Then if this person wants to understand read this figure well, the background it came from, you can go to that document and read this figure more. Okay, so that is about the theory. So normally, we will, let me see, let me do something here. So I want to go now to just show you briefly how I'm hoping you can see my screen. Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. So there are more basically databases you can go to and get documents, but I'm just going to use the basic which anyone can basically reach. So just go to Google Scholar. So I want you're basically reading and you have basically gotten. So I want to do something on COVID, just to you can say COVID-19. Maybe you want to know about the vaccine. So now we come here. So normally we have, for example, the first one, COVID-19 vaccine development landscape. So I download this document. So you just click on it that way. So you see here, that one has downloaded. Again, when accessing this or using Makabayi Internet, some of these documents I may not access them, but if you're using Makabayi Internet, they have paid for some of these journals. So actually, when you just use their internet, you'll get surprised. You'll actually access what you're seeing here. These are some of the databases, okay, which you can go to where these documents basically were published or housed. So I've downloaded one. We have prospects of a safe COVID-19 vaccine. So I can click here. This is general open source. You can see that you're downloading. Then this one, normally I try to avoid this one, immunology, taking me to basically a web page. This is most likely they're going to ask me that to pay or subscribe. Though sometimes when you go there and your institution subscribes, you will still be able to download. So not to waste time, I will basically move to another. Normally the ones that have PDF, okay, here easily downloadable. This one I think we have already downloaded it here. It may be 2020 and 2020. Okay, that's just another database where it's found. Let's go to this one, factors COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy. So I click here, just get five documents. Okay, so that one is also downloading. So let me see. Let me go to the next page for a particular reason. COVID-19, COVID-19, COVID-19. Let me see. Let me just go into this one, which we see something here. Normally, was that PDF might be asking for payment. You see what I see here. So when I come here, the database, most of the cases they'll be asking for payment. So normally, that's why I avoid. I've just taken you there. You know, COVID-19 vaccine is a bit the thing. So let me go for this one here. Second dose of COVID-19. This one may be free. Just want to get some. That one is downloading. Evolution of COVID-19 vaccine development landscape. Evolution, I think this is a bit different. I also click there. I want us to prove something here. Considering emotion in COVID-19 vaccine communication. Let me also take this one. Okay, it's also coming there. So let me COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy among ethnic minority groups. Take this one. And then let me see how many documents of COVID have I downloaded. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We talked about 8 authors, so 7. Can I be able to pick some more? 7. Preliminary online assessment. You must just pick this one. 8. Then this one, pick the 9th on COVID. Just want to pick 10, just to see whether the things we have talked about, the software can do them efficiently. So let me pick the 10th here. Let's pick also the 11th. So after this, now let me actually the Y share, just not to get lost. Let me share so that you can see everything on my screen. That should be, is it all windows? And let me see here. I think it's this. So I'm hoping when I interchange, you can see all my things. So are you able to see? Are you able to see my downloads?
Yes, yes.
Folder for the COVID-19. Okay. I think I had something on COVID-19. We say COVID-19, new. Okay, so I put everything in. So, and then there's a software called Mendeley. This is the icon, okay, for Mendeley. So Mendeley is basically open source. You just type in Mendeley download. You'll go, you download this software. So let me open it as I talk about it. Now, what's the good thing about this Mendeley software? You're going to notice it helps you a bit to be organized. One is that when you are registering it, to ask for your email, and it's so connected a bit to the cloud. So all the documents you download, you import them in Mendeley, as you can see basically here. And everything you actually add in here, it is actually also stored in the cloud to an extent that if they steal your laptop, I always actually say, always encourage that even when you, Professor Kuda just shared the where you can get Mendeley. When someone steals your laptop, I even encourage students, even if you have your document, any papers you are developing, you could actually put them in on Mendeley or even your system. To an extent that there are two advantages. When you are moving, you don't even need to move with your laptop. Just go and get another computer, install Mendeley. You can get back all your things. Even when they steal your laptop, always it's linked to the every time it synchronizes and it's linked to your online storage. So you can retrieve basically all your work. Okay. Plus the advantage you are basically going to see. And so what you do now when you come to Mendeley, it's good you come here to where you have create folder, and then I basically type COVID-19, maybe research. Okay. So after typing COVID-19 research, you can say I have different folders here with the different specifications. So when I basically, you see when you click on it, it goes to that folder. I've done some COVID-19 before, that's why it was refused last time. When I come to deformation, I have different papers in different folders. So COVID-19 that I've just created is empty. So what you do, you come now here where you have a file, okay? Then you come and you can add a folder if you wanted, or you can add files. So you can come here to add files. So when I click on add files, then I navigate to the downloads, then I enter the folder, then you select all the articles, and then you click open. So what is it doing? It's loading all your articles. You can see there. So normally what it does, it tries to read the articles. You see, when you're refreshing yourself, you're supposed to get that article and look for the volume number, issue number, title, names. And for me, it be ad hoc. I got all these difficulties on the laptop. You know how those, I think the Russian names, or I think names of Poland or of the Polish, where they write a letter and then a dot up. Some of the things to type them on your computer, not all of us can easily get them. So I liked the Mendeley, it just picks them the way they are. I don't struggle with some of those funny writings, okay? But apart from that, it tries to read. But one thing you have to note, you need to check it. Sometimes it may make a mistake, okay? So it has imported everything. Now, when you click on it, on the sides here, it shows you it has extracted, it goes to the journal and extracts out the parameters. Which parameters you need for reference? The title, it extracts the authors, the journal, the year, the volume, the issue, the pages, the abstract. You have author keynotes. Sometimes it picks the URL if it's there, it picks the DOI, the ISSN, the PMID, and then you have the PDF here. Okay, but you always have to check, because sometimes you may make a mistake, but it does. Like, for example, if you just have to move through by clicking on each and also doing an inspection. Okay, you do an inspection to make sure. Drafted journals, normally the software finds it very easy to pick, but some journals whereby the publication they have not really well done, the software struggles to pick some of this information. So don't take this as gospel truth. Sometimes just you need to check. What's the other advantage? Before we go even further, you can read these articles, whereby I'll give an example at the beginning before I found out the software. You download one article like 10 times. You download it, guess you read today, tomorrow you look for it, you're not seeing it. You see, then again you download, you see it. Here you get to analyze. Now when I have here, I just come and click like this, just double click, it opens the document within Mendeley for you to read. Okay, when you are done, you close. Okay, you open, you can read within Mendeley, then you close. So you can have very many basically documents. So yes, Lynette is asking about the name of the app. It's called Mendeley, and the Professor Gidudu just shared the link. I don't know if you missed it, but let me put the link again. It's called Mendeley. Okay. So, but before even we go to Mendeley, let me show you something here. When you go to citing here, so down here we have, you can use, when you are referencing, you can use EndNote, you can use RefMan, you can use RefWorks, you can use BBTeX, and some of you may associate yourselves with this. But so what I was saying, the advantage, for example, of using some of these that are down here, these are already programmed that if I had EndNote, when I just come and click here on EndNote, it will pick the journal directly from Google Scholar and take it directly to my EndNote. Now, that's the disadvantage of Mendeley, but I think Mendeley in future maybe will also come here. So that's the disadvantage that basically I did so, but I think I can live with it. Okay. Now, we have that. Now, I'm going to do something here. I'm going to open a Word document. Okay, I'm going to open a Word document. So I open Word and then see now, how do you reference? How do you reference? So I need to get some material. So let me open one of the documents and just copy some material so that we can have, hopefully to allow me to copy some material. Okay, so just to show how we made okay. So can we see the Word document? Someone confirm?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
So we have a document like this, and then you want to do the referencing. So before that, there is always, when you have just installed Mendeley and you come to tools, please carefully see here, tools. There is it's not automatic. There is this word, there's an Microsoft MS Word plugin. This MS Word plugin enables you to connect your Mendeley to your Word document for you to do referencing. Okay, so it has been prior done here. If you have just installed Mendeley, it will be showing here, instead of uninstall, it will be showing install MS Word plugin. So when you're on the internet, just go in here and click on it so that it's installed. You cannot do the I'm going to do now when it's not installed, but this is within Mendeley. You just have to activate it per se so that you have this plugin. Which plugin? This plugin here. When you come to references in your Word document, are you seeing I have this symbol this sign is for Mendeley, okay? And I have here open Mendeley. So the plugin has come in, okay? Now let's try doing some referencing. I'm not going to be very exact, but maybe I want to put a reference somewhere, like where I've put the cursor there. You come to insert citation, but before you come to search citation, here under, because this is the plugin, under style, when you click here, we have options that we were talking about. American Medical Association, American Political Science Association, American Psychological Association, that is 7th edition, and so forth and so forth and so forth. And even you can get more styles, okay, online. So we're going to use APA. Then after I finish, I'm going now to change. Then you'll see how things will change accordingly, okay? So how easy it becomes. So now I want to install, for the first one, I want to put only one author. So I come here to insert citation. It brings me this dialog box you are seeing here, okay, all of you. Then you click here on go to Mendeley. So I click on go to Mendeley. It jumps back to the Mendeley software. So I just click the first one. When I click the first one, it brings for me the icons here. There's something called site. There's something called site here. So when I click on site, this is what it does. It has brought the citation in. It has identified. Are you seeing how it has started? It has wrote Chang et al. Comma 2020. So if you look here, and maybe we open, let's open. How many authors are here? So you need to check on how many authors. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now it's showing 4 authors, and it is starting with that version. Now, one thing I didn't mention, the theory I was teaching you is based on APA 6th edition. It's based on APA 6th edition. So APA 7th edition, even when you have 4 authors, you have to start with immediately the first author's last name and entail. Okay, so that's what we are seeing here. Okay, so if that's why there's a difference, but you have to check these things. Now that's for one author. Okay, now you note, now here let's just put 2 authors. So you again come to site, you come to go to Mendeley. Now you click there, press the control button. Then I click on the second author, and I say site. So if you clearly see here, I may try to zoom in so that you can see. Here now, because there are 2 authors, you see what it has done. It has just separated them with the two with these semicolons. Okay, can clearly see there. So I can come somewhere here, insert, maybe add now 3, maybe 4 authors. So when I do that, you can also see what has done, just basically separating them with. So I just want to tell you that it picks the theory I was teaching you. It's programmed to do that, to already do for you the rules, the, if I may say, regulations of how you're supposed to cite. So just now for the last one, I'm just going to put all of them because I want our reference list to be long, maybe enough. So I'll come there, cite that, and just select all there. I come here to cite. So it has just put all, as you can basically see here. So when you finish, what you do, you come down here at the end. So maybe you type, you say, this is my reference. Then you come here to insert bibliography. You come here to insert bibliography. So when you do this, so automatically it puts for you the list, as you can see here, in alphabetical order. There. Now, I need to be careful here. I wanted to pick the problem I've used. Now, I'm going to delete. You see now, for example, even deleting and adding becomes crazy. I'm going to delete, and you see something. I'm going to remove this one. Maybe I don't like this article. They have discarded me from using it. So I come to where I used, here I have Chang, here I have, so I'm going to, let me start with this. So delete, okay. I've removed that, then I used it also where, somewhere here. So I come there, delete, okay. So keep manual. Normally you say, yeah, keep the manual edits. So now I come here normally and I click insert again, click manual edit. Okay, so okay, something happened. Let me see. Let me take this to another page so that they don't. So let me see here. Okay, I think I've used it somewhere else. Where did I use it? 3, 2, Chong. Must have used it somewhere else. Chong.
There where you have highlighted.
Yes.
Yes, it's here. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I've used it somewhere there. So let me try again. Insert my edit. So let me see. Okay, it's jumping. That means it's somewhere. It's still in somewhere. Where do I have it? I have it somewhere. Let me see. Oh, let me see. Let me do this. Let me just remove everything. Okay, for the references and just insert again and see has been modified. Complaining. That means it's somewhere else, somewhere. Normally the idea is that if you delete, let me try to search and see. It's coming because it's there. Normally when you delete a reference, it will not come in the, so let me do this because it's picking the manual ones wrongly. So let me do this. I'll just use each sentence maybe, since you have seen that logic there. So insert, come to mainly, just pick the first one, just come there, then come here, insert another one. Hey, sorry, not the bibliography. Come there, go to mainly, pick the second one, insert, chunk, insert in the same place. Come here. So let me insert this one. Okay, good, has come there. So come here. So I'm inserting separately so that I show you how it self-edits itself. Insert there. Then I come there. Insert. Go to mainly. Come there. Insert. Then can I pick somewhere there? Insert. Mainly. That. Come in. Separating them so that it doesn't lose in the system. Then another send here, pick somewhere here, insert mainly, pick this one, insert. Okay, it has gone there. Then I can pick this table 9, is this the last thing? There, go to mainly, also insert there. Okay, then I can come here. Here I can use maybe the last 3, that one, the last 4, sorry. Time, so I put there. Then so you see what was happening. I because I decided once it was even just updating when I was adding. It was just updating them when I was adding. So I did it for the first 2, then it just keeps updating. Every time you update, the list is updated. But now I want to pick one carefully. Let me pick one carefully. We have this one here and have it twice. So I have to delete it completely, like that, gone. Then also I had it where is it here? Health here. So let me move this, that. Okay. So then can come, remove the reference and try to insert. So you can see the first one I deleted has done what? Has gone away. So what I mean is, like when you're working in a document, don't mind about the reference list normally. So you just add what you want, delete. After the end, just go at the end, remove everything, and just insert again, and wow, everything just comes. Okay? That's scenario one. Scenario two, imagine they have told you, no, we don't allow APA. We want, please, we want, let me use a different IEEE. So just come and click on IEEE. And some of you have not noticed what has happened, but you see here, I have now one, I have two, okay? The references have changed. Here where I had the
Could
three
you
of them.
please maybe just highlight them?
Okay. So I have one here. So let me highlight. Let me go home and highlight where we have two highlight. Then it will be better. Let me first go to APA so that I see them well, because the numbers. So back to APA. Aha. So APA, I think this was also picked currently. So I also highlight that. Then I have this, okay, which is there. Then, let's see, is here. Have that. Then we had these four and also highlighted. So I think I've picked everything, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So now, let's go to references. Now, please, let's go to IEEE. Now, see what has happened. Look at the ones which are referenced, how they have become, and look at the reference list. It has gone to IEEE. Okay, without bothering with the how it's done. What about Harvard? Just go to Harvard. We have Harvard. Let me see, Harvard depreciated. Then we have site right 10th edition of Harvard. Let me first pick that one. So this is the Harvard. So this is what I was telling you about Harvard. Doesn't use the upper sign, but uses and for the two. Okay. So let's see how Harvard does down here. You see how Harvard does? This is how Harvard referencing list is. Let's use another one. Maybe American. I don't know how it does the referencing. This is good one. You see how it does the referencing? It puts like the superscripts. Okay, can see how it does the referencing, and this is how it does. Okay, so you just basically in a click, you basically have modern humanities. Let me see what they do. I don't know. It looks like oh my God. So this is how these work. It remains here, but they include the endnotes. Okay, I have not used this before, so I didn't know how it works, and the references still remain there. Okay, so that is one. Now, the last option. What about sometimes you have journals? I'll give an example. You have a journal. These journals, I think, like this one, which you can't get a PDF of, and you want to enter directly. So I think there's this one you can download. So this is okay. Let me get one you can't download. Some of that one you can download. Let me get one you can download. Maybe this one from Nature. Let me see. So where like you have one you can't download. Oh, even this one you can't download. Okay. I wanted to get one you can't download, but let's assume you can't download one of these. What you do, you just come to site. Okay, you come to site. Everyone, please come to site. Then after you click on BibTeX. Okay, so BibTeX gives you extracts out for what you see on screen. The title, which is there. Okay, it gets you the authors, okay, who are there, gets you the journal name, volume, number, which is the issue, pages, year, and the publisher. So what I do, I come in manually, come to file and come to add entry manually, because sometimes you don't have the document, but you have read maybe what something in abstract or that summary. You know, some of the journals give you just a summary, and you can't get the PDF to bring it directly. So you click on add manually. Then the first thing down here and type, what is it? It's a book. book section, case, program, conference, encyclopedia, article, film, generic, hearing, or journal article. Is it a magazine, newspaper article? Is it a patent? Is it a report? Is it a statute? Is it a television broadcast? Is it a synthesis? Is it a web page? Is it a working paper? So whatever you select here, they will ask you the relevant information that is required for you to actually reference. So the most commonly is journal article. So you just keep now coming this side and picking things. So you come and pick the heading, okay? You copy the heading, you come, you paste. Come and copy the authors, okay? There's logic of how the authors, you write the authors, always his last name, comma, first name, okay? And I'll just put them in there. The journal, you come here, the journal name is there, you copy it, you come there, you also paste. Okay, there is 2020 volume 20 issue 10. Then pages, pages, you have that, okay, pages are there. Okay, and publisher, seeing the publisher, I should have the publisher somewhere, I don't know, I'm not seeing it, but then after when you finish, you save. So publish, I think, okay, so now you see how it has come here, the names, the title, the year, the publisher, and even the time you have basically input, okay? The difference here is that this one is not there, okay? That is what, so this also can basically be taken the other side, okay? The same thing, I mean, if I wanted to put it anywhere here, just simply come on insert, you go there, also pick it normally, insert, and obviously the coordinate system we are using, let me change, sorry, the reference system, back to, and it must be joined there, what you have just added, okay, will also be added that side there. Now, you can do this if you don't have the article, just add it manually. Now, another thing you have to note, okay, mainly will just like how Google studies you, it will study you with time as a researcher, and it will not a pattern of documents that you are reading. Then when you open mainly or to your Gmail you have used, anytime there's a new publication within your area, it will signal you. It will signal you that there's this publication because it has understood your trend from what you're downloading. So that's another advantage, really, a small advantage you can make use of with the. So, Prof, that is basically it that I would have to share. If maybe you have some questions. I see Justin.
Yeah, Justin, go ahead. Anyone with a question, throw it in. Michael, Justin. Hey, we'll start from the top. But as he comes, I'll probably attempt to answer. Usually when you're doing your research, you will have a working folder where you put all your journals. And one of the things that you will realize, especially when you're doing research, you might even have different folders for different sections, you know. So when you have a working folder, you can access, you can download all your files there. And but even in Mendeley, it allows you to have working spaces, different working spaces, depending on what you want to do. So for you from geomatics, you might have something about water, another section about, let me see if he's back. Not yet. I think he's having challenges with his Wi-Fi.
I was asking initially that when we started and opened the Mendeley app, you just connected the folder that had the documents that you downloaded and batched up from Google Scholar into the app. So I was just asking that in the instance that you have other journals that you've downloaded into your working folder on the computer, how do you easily update the working folder within the Mendeley app? I don't know.
Okay, yeah, thank you. What happens here is
So I think the gist of what I was trying to say is that you can have working folders, you can download all your stuff to that working folder, and your Mendeley will help you access it. But more importantly, and the beauty I find with Mendeley is, I think we have been doing work on construction materials. You'll find that you'll get the latest material on construction materials that has been published, and it will flag that.
it allows you to create different folders, and therefore in those different folders you basically put your different work. You can see here when I click on each folder, it keeps, I have journals in those different folders, okay, and it keeps also tracking obviously of the authors. You can see here of the authors that basically you have been using within your work. I don't know if that answers, but what Prof was saying, that it keeps you up to date. Any work that is published, even if the journal is not accessible, it will flag it for you. And the immediate, actually recommend to you that there's this document, access it or download it. We just keep you up to date with your interest. Because sometimes a journal is published, but you take long. You can't keep track of all the publishing houses every day to make sure you are monitoring which journals come out. Some send you their tables of contents, but others don't. So Mendeley will flag for you, as Prof has explained. So Justin, I don't know if that answers, if that's what your issue really was precisely.
It's okay, Brian. I'm okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Michael?
Yes, I just wanted to raise also a few comments. First and foremost, thanks for the presentation. It's very informative. The issue of, for instance, when you're logging in into Mendeley, it is asking whether you need to use your personal or institutional email address. I think you could advise on that. Then two, how does Mendeley handle websites if you want to reference them? Then three, also when you had you were giving some citations, information on citation, there is where you had websites and one was underlined while one wasn't. I don't know if you could also comment something on that. Thank you.
Okay, so the first one was on referencing websites. Okay.
Yes.
So normally, when you come, for example, to adding, when you add manually, there's an option for web page. Okay, web page
Yes.
is the website. Yeah, so you have to have the title, the authors of that information, publication, yeah, and basically pages. So normally, when you change here to the different, it keeps changing, asking you the information you need. Okay. To basically
Yes.
for including the URL, okay? You
Yes.
can also put the URL for that website, but for every article, it has an author, okay?
Yes.
That article is basically being published, but on the web, so it has a publisher, okay?
Yes.
And also you have to put the year, you have to put the page if there are pages, and abstract. So it's provided for, but what it does, it tells you all this information is needed. Most of the cases, for a researcher, you may think they only need the what, the URL, but this is not the case. And this takes me to, I think, what was the second question? Because the third question was about.
There was one on whether you're using a personal or institutional email.
Yes, yes.
But then there was also one where you had an underlined website and another one wasn't.
Okay. So yes. So
Yes.
yeah. Now
Exactly
about
around
the
here.
personal. Yeah.
Yes.
About the personal. The personal and the institutional email, basically It can work. That's one thing I can tell you about the,
Yes,
the emails. Okay. It can work, including the paid on the personal account. So it's not restricted that you are supposed to use the.
So it's basically at login level.
Exactly. Just at login level. Might use the personal email. About the underlining you are basically seeing here is just because when you finally enter and you press the space bar, normally an email self underlines itself. Okay, so that's why it has done this. There's no serious difference why one is underlined and the other is not underlined. Basically, the underlined. It's similar, both can work, but just underline because in Word, when you put a space bar, it has a case of understand trying to read it that this is actually a website by automatically underlining it. So does that try to answer your questions?
Yes, it does answer it, but I think that is where they had also taught us to emphasize on underlining. So I was wondering now where the difference is.
Okay,
Underlining
maybe what I would also like to advise is, and the reason why many of us use personal email, official email usually has limits. And so we actually get the updates about new research through the emails. And so when you have something like a Google Mail, you don't worry that you might miss out because you have reached your limit. But about websites, kindly stick to published, verified data. Anyone can put up a website. It doesn't have to be verified. It doesn't have to be whatever. So I would advise that as you're doing your research and you're doing your publication, let us stick to published and verifiably published work. So journals, conference proceedings, probably books. Okay, Charles, over to you.
Maybe thank you, Prof. Maybe just to add, things like journals, you use them for very, there are areas which are very limited on material, and like someone is doing research on homosexuality, okay? So, but otherwise for our kind of research, really, I also wouldn't advise you to go because this is not peer-reviewed kind of material. So thank you, Prof. Maybe another person, maybe as you called upon.
Thank you very much, Prof. And Dr. Makabayi for the opportunity. I have 3 short questions. I don't know whether I should ask one and I get the response and I get to the other, or I ask them in a row.
Ask one and you get a response.
They are short ones indeed. There's where you talked of where we have similar information referenced by more than one author. And I saw that you had 2006, 2005. Is the order of the years of publication an issue or not?
Okay. You mean when, for example, I've authored 2 papers in a year, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So if I've authored,
I would request if you can go there where you say the similar information referred by more than one author there. I see Dawson is 2006. Is it automatic? Will it come automatic or 25 comes before 26? I don't know that order.
It doesn't. That one doesn't matter. It depends on who we have entered basically first in the selection. Okay. So yeah, that one doesn't matter. What matters is if it's same author in the year where you have A and B. Or is the first one has to come down in January, then the other. And I think if I made, let me see. Okay, these ones all came. Let me try to see here if I can try to explain that. Where is the research? Let me see. And then cite. And then highlight. So I don't know if you can see what I've highlighted.
Yes, I'm able to see.
So you see this is 2021, then 2020, 2020, 2020, then 2021, in 2020, 2022, 2021, there is no order, like in terms of the years, just like how they are listed within my selection, the other side.
Okay, thank you. Number two.
But before we move from there,
Yes.
you also have to take note of especially journals. Certain journals will specify the order. Some might say according to alphabetical order, others will say the earliest first. Yeah, so you need to be cognizant of that, especially when you're going to writing papers from your research. Some journals will be very specific about that order. So just be aware of that. For me, I prefer doing it in some sort of order. It just makes the work look more professional. Latest first, so I would put the 2021s first. But what I'm trying to say that whatever you use, be consistent. If it is alphabetical order, all of them, in all of them, it should be alphabetical order. If it is the latest first, just make sure that is consistent.
Thank you.
Next question.
Number two is about where you talked of you have images or maps or graphs you are referring to. But how about if I prepare a map for my research, and this map will have picked information from different sources? I've got to UBOS, I've got to Ministry of Lands, Surveys and Mapping. I picked from different sources and I have composed this map in my document. How do I refer to these information sources?
Makabayi, have you had a question?
Sorry, come again. I didn't hear you well.
Okay. The issue where you have a map or an image,
yes,
as you talked about, referring to the source of those kinds of images.
Yes, please.
But there's a situation where I have recomposed the map using different sources of data.
Yes.
I've got a Google Earth image, I have got data from UBOS, I've got data from Surveys and Mapping, and I have come up with this map. Is that my original composition, or have to put all those as sources?
Yeah, now obviously you have to, in my view, that's an original composition. However, sometimes if it's just a slight modification, you always have to cite and say some modification. When can this happen? On normally like conceptual models, okay? Like a conceptual model where you have just modified something small, but it's not your idea. So there, you now have to measure and see the gravity of how something is completely different. You have really reconstructed yours. So if it is just you have done some simple reconstruction, then you have to cite the source. But however, you say modified, because again, when you don't say modified, the examiner will go and try to get and notice that the thing is different. So again, you have to be that precise. However, what you're trying to explain, where you get an image and maybe you completely process and you have come up with something, as I said, really, I don't think that you have to use to whatever all these authors. However, you see these people whose knowledge you have used to do that in your literature are going to be cited. You see the methodology, sometimes in your methods, explaining what you did, you are going to cite them. So like you used, otherwise even the methods are not basic. I don't know how to create these methods. So you keep citing these people so someone can clearly see that actually what you did this, and because of the people, the sightings you have used, you use these people's maybe techniques, or you use some information from this people's research for your work. So that's what I could do, advise or answer in your regard.
Okay, thank you. The last one is a simpler one. You said that this mainly helps you to get, even if your laptop is lost or something, you can still get this downloaded material in the cloud. So correct. By me opening a folder or downloading Mendeley and putting my folder there, does it automatically save it in the cloud, or there's some other operation I have to do? Maybe I missed that.
So let me try to do something here. Let me close and try to put on. There's something it always does. It syncs. Let's watch here. will it allow, are you seeing what's happening down here? It's loading 50%. I don't know, do you see?
Yes, I'm seeing. I saw.
Aha. So what it does, when you put in a document, it just directly puts it on the cloud. When you load, it does what called synchronizing with your cloud and your data. So you just have to have good internet, and it does this. Now, when I steal my laptop now, what I do, I get a new laptop, I just install Mendeley. When I open it, it now basically just retrieves everything. It just does the same synchronization and retrieves all my things that I had. So it's done automatically.
Thank you very much.
So now it's uploading. So you always leave it to do that loading until it's 100%.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Thank you very
Okay.
much. Linda?
Mine is very easy. Brian, my question is about the abbreviations, or like the groups of authors whose name is abbreviated. Usually you find that, well, sometimes we're encouraged to have like a list of abbreviations. So if I already listed it prior, do I still need to write the name in full at the first citation as you had stated? Or do I start off with using the abbreviation in my document?
Okay, yeah, thank you. You see, this is I call the referencing rules of APA. I wish I had the document, but the idea is that you have to, that is just a rule, even if you have a list of references, sorry, a list of what? Acronyms or abbreviations. I think that's what you meant. A list of acronyms or abbreviations at the beginning. This is just a rule of referencing that you have to do that. I know the function that is being duplicated, but you have to do that. That's just a rule, so maybe regulations of referencing. So if you don't do that, then that means you have done referencing wrong, and the journal will keep telling you check your references, and things like that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Brian.
Yes, Mr. Mugisa, or Mr. or Miss. It just says P. Mugisa. Your hand is up. Linda, you can put your hand down.
It's another Linda who talked actually. So this is also another person.
No, what I'm saying, there's a Mugisa P whose hand is up.
I have a question as well.
Okay.
Yes. So I was just trying to refer the practical to the theory. When you are citing, okay, in the theory, you said that when there are about 3 or 4 authors in the first citation, we put all of them. But then when you are using the Mendeley, it only brought one person and then put a tal, and then you said it's because of the 7th edition. That's why it did that. So my question is, if you're using the 7th edition, we should just sort of ignore the other rule. I didn't understand that part well, because from the citation, it was only one instead of the first 4.
Linda, please repeat your question. But it was along the lines of moving from 6th to 7th edition and rules changing. Do you use the latest edition,
yes.
or do you go and correct? Like in your case, you said we should have the first 4 names in full, and yet I only had the first name. You do et al. Instead of you do who.
Yeah, a good question. Like for example, the APA in our Makerere guideline actually is 6th edition. Ideally, this is a revision, but again, as you have noticed that we say the things, but if a journal is very specific, like even our prof shared on using a particular edition, then you have to use that edition. But basically, the 7th edition is a revision, is an improvement of the APA referencing system. So unless the journal really is very specific, I would recommend that you use the most current referencing system, because the idea why they have revised is they have seen some limitations in the previous edition. Unless the journal is very specific, you have to always look at author guidelines.
Actually, these days we have journals of, I have a paper where we were probably 13 authors, or 14 or 20. So these become very important guidelines. P. Mugisa, your hand is up. Does anyone know P. Mugisa? Okay. I think that covers the bases. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have found the class very, very informative. As you can see, we are determined to make sure that you people do excellent research and present it excellently. And we will resume. Have a good night, and let us resume tomorrow evening. So thank you very much. Brian, thank you. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much, Professor.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. And my pleasure really to guide a bit the students.
And he's available whenever you need help.
Okay.
Thank you.